You know, in all my years, I've never set foot outside the Institute. Not once. Since the day they brought me here. I've never had a reason. But now, this just confirms the truth I've always known. The Commonwealth is dead. There's no future here. The only hope for humanity lies below.
It wasn't always like this. It used to be different.
I can only imagine. Standing here, I'm reminded of how fortunate I am that I was spared a life in this wasteland. I know that to you, I was kidnapped from that vault. In truth, the Institute rescued me. Both of us, really.
They left me on ice. For 60 years.
They did. And for good reason. I was the perfect candidate. An infant with uncorrupted DNA. But if something were to go wrong, if I died, well, the Institute realized a contingency plan was prudent. Another source of pre-war DNA, preferably related to their primary subject. It only made sense that my parents should fill that role. So you were kept alive and safe within the vault. I'll admit, when I had you released from Vault 111, I had no expectations that you'd survive out here in all this. To not only do so, but manage to find me. To infiltrate the Institute itself. Extraordinary.
So it was you. You let me out?
Yes. It was my decision. Certainly it was no longer necessary to keep you suspended. Well, I suppose I wanted to see what would happen. An experiment of sorts. Would the Commonwealth corrupt you? As it has everything else? Would you even survive? Perhaps most curious to me, would you, after all this time, attempt to find me? And now I know the answer.
This is science to you. It's pathetic. All of it.
I'm sorry you see it that way. Perhaps in time you'll see it differently. Soon, I hope. I hope you'll understand. Everything I've done has been for the future. A future which I hope is not in jeopardy after recent events. Bunker Hill did not go well for us. Would you care to explain what happened?
We were totally ambushed. They were waiting for us.
You can imagine that I find that very hard to believe, given that all the intelligence leading up to this indicated we'd taken them by surprise. Bunker Hill was to cement your place as a valuable asset to the Institute. It will now only raise suspicions. And to see the Brotherhood of Steel involved in this? They had no way of knowing what was going on. I will refrain from sharing the outcome with the Directorate for the moment. Things are already in motion that this would only derail. Speaking of which, it's time for you to become more involved in the future of the Institute. I'd like you to join me inside. The Directorate is meeting, and you should be there. I'll be waiting. I've seen enough. It's time to go back in.
Father has done remarkable things. I would not exist were it not for him.
Unit X688 speaks highly of your combat skills. Be on the lookout for unusual synth behavior.
Good, we're all here. I think it's time we begin.
Sir, excuse me, but what exactly is she doing here?
I will address that issue. But there are other subjects that require our attention first. The level of unrest in the Commonwealth continues to rise, as we're all aware. Your report.
All Institute facilities remain completely secure with the exception of one notable breach. Otherwise, internally, things are as tight as they've ever been. Dr. Ao has been keeping an eye on things topside.
Yes, Watchers show no additional threats beyond those previously identified. Boston International Airport remains occupied, with Brotherhood presence noted at several other points throughout the Commonwealth. Intelligence suggests that this railroad continues to operate and is becoming more ambitious. SRB agents are monitoring all known situations, sir.
Very good, thank you. It's clear that our safety needs to be the primary concern going forward. To that end, where are we on Phase 3?
Sir, are you sure this is the time to be discussing it? Given, well, considering all parties present?
Ah, yes, that's true. Have you heard anything about Phase 3?
What's Phase 3?
It's very important to us. Power is, as I'm sure you've seen above ground, a very valuable commodity. I'm not talking about some abstract concept of control. I mean real, tangible power. The kind that keeps the lights on. With every advance the Institute makes, our need for raw power increases. Many compromises and sacrifices have been made over the years to allow progress to continue.
What kind of compromises?
We have at times had to rely on drawing power from above-ground installations. It risks personnel and equipment, but no longer. Phase 3 is simply the activation of a nuclear reactor that can provide enough power to the Institute now and forever. It will ensure not just our survival, but our prosperity.
Sounds like an important step.
That's an understatement. The reactor is close to ready, but recent tests have determined we have a few tasks ahead of us. Thus, we come to Phase 3, and to how you will help.
Sir.
Yes, Dr. Ao. Previously, we would rely on Kellogg for above-ground operations, yes? Well, he is gone. While I am not overly fond of putting my own mother in harm's way, she has proven more than capable of handling herself.
Yes, but...
This is not a matter for debate. Now, there is one more subject that requires discussion.
I don't know that this is the time.
Dr. Holdren, it is time. Please, as I'm sure several of you are already aware, I have been under Dr. Volkert's care for some time. I'm sorry, this is difficult for me. Our best efforts have failed. Every experimental treatment we could devise has been unsuccessful. I'm sorry to say I am dying.
What?
Can't be serious.
Everyone, please. I am sorry. This is not how I wanted to tell you, but we're running out of time.
Why would you joke about this? It isn't funny.
Were it a joke, I'd agree it's in poor form. But I'm afraid it's not. We can talk more later. Right now, the future of the Institute is at stake. The Institute cannot survive without leadership. The Directorate must continue to govern with the best interest of all in mind. To that end, I am naming my mother as my successor.
Oh, boy.
You can't be serious!
Really?
Seems a poor choice.
How can you possibly justify this? She isn't one of us. She isn't even a scientist.
Ignoring your borderline, insubordinate tone, I will simply say this. The Institute has enough scientists. What it needs is a leader. I believe my mother has already proven herself more than capable in that regard. This will conclude this meeting. Thank you.
It's my
Humanity's
responsibility
future is
to make sure
taking
this
root
place runs
right
smoothly.
here.
I had no idea.
I know this is... well, it's a lot to take in at once. I'm sorry, Mother. I hope it wasn't too presumptuous of me to put you in charge without even asking first.
What would it mean to be in charge?
Most divisions of the Institute are fairly autonomous, perfectly capable of functioning without intervention. Where those divisions interact, however, problems can arise. You'd lead the Directorate in setting policy, resolving disputes, and the like. There's no question that some of the Directorate, and the Institute at large, will need reassurances about your appointment. That's why I'd like you to take charge of this latest operation. Dr. Fillmore can fill you in on the details. There are hard decisions ahead, for all of us, but for you especially. I know that you'll do the right thing.
The Institute is my life. I hope it'll be yours too.
It's great to have you here.
Son?
I hope you realize how important mass fusion is to our overall goal.
Dr. Fillmore.
Busy day for you, isn't it? Well, it's about to get busier. You're going to lead this operation, I'm told.
I need some details here. I have no idea what I'm getting into.
Of course, that's why we're talking. Otherwise, you'd be up top already. Recent events have upset our timetable. Getting the reactor online has become our #1 priority. It needs to be running, well, yesterday. We're going to have to cut some corners. I'm not thrilled, but it means we'll need to rely on some pre-war tech. You're going to the mass fusion building to acquire a beryllium agitator for us.
That sounds dangerous.
Any place above ground has its risks, but that's why you're in charge. You're there to protect me.
No way. You're not going. You'd be a liability.
Well, that's about the most insulting thing I've heard in a while. Okay, you're on your own then. Good luck. Not to put more pressure on you, but we have to move quickly on this. Word is that the Brotherhood is nosing around the area. We don't want them getting the agitator before we do. Head on up to the relay, and they'll get you over to mass fusion in a flash. Pun sort of intended.
I couldn't be more pleased with Father's choice for a new director. Congratulations.
We are honored to welcome you here.